There's a particular kind of tension hanging in the air between you and someone right now. You can feel it. They can feel it. It's not the tension of uncertainty about whether feelings exist, those are crystal clear. It's the tension of someone standing at a crossroads, fully aware that both paths will change everything, but one path leads to loss they know they cannot survive. Let me paint this picture for you. They're weighing what loving you fully will require of them. And it's not small. It's not surface-level adjustments or minor inconveniences. We're talking about significant things: pride they'll have to surrender, walls they've spent years building that will need to come down, a version of themselves they'll have to let die, patterns they'll have to break, maybe even relationships they'll have to redefine or walk away from entirely. Loving you the way you deserve, the way their soul is screaming at them to love you, will cost them something substantial. And here's what's happening in their internal world right now: they know it. They're not naive about the price tag. They've calculated it. They've looked at what loving you will demand of them, and they're not in denial about how big it is. But here's the other side of that equation, the side that's absolutely wrecking them: they've also imagined life without you. And that possibility, terrifies them in a way nothing else does. Because losing you isn't just losing a person. It's losing the version of themselves they can only become with you. It's losing the future they can see so clearly when you're near. It's losing the peace they've never felt with anyone else. It's losing the home they've found in your presence. If you're watching this, you've probably sensed this exact dynamic. You felt them pulled toward you, then watched them pull back. You've experienced moments of incredible closeness followed by distance that confused you. You've wondered if they're playing games, if they're unsure about their feelings, if you're asking for too much. But what if I told you that their hesitation has nothing to do with how much they want you and everything to do with how much they do? What if their back and forth isn't doubt about you, it's them grappling with whether they're ready to pay what it costs to keep you? Drop a heart emoji if something about this is already resonating with your situation. I want to know you're here, that these words are landing where they need to land. This isn't a message about chasing someone or convincing someone to choose you. This is about understanding what's really happening beneath the surface when someone recognizes that you're not just another person they can casually love and easily let go. You represent something much bigger. You represent transformation. You represent truth. You represent a level of authenticity and depth that will require them to show up differently than they ever have before. And transformation is never comfortable. Truth is never convenient. Authentic love is never easy to receive when you've been living in patterns of self-protection. So before we go any deeper, and we're going to go much deeper, I promise you, I need you to understand something essential: if someone is weighing the cost of loving you, it means you're worth an enormous amount. If they're calculating what they'll have to give up, change, or confront to be with you fully, it means your value is undeniable. This isn't about you being too much. This is about you being exactly enough to disrupt their comfort zone and call them into their next level. We're going to spend the next 50 minutes unpacking what's really happening in this dynamic. We're going to explore what they're experiencing in their most private moments. We're going to look at why this particular tension exists and what it means for both of you. And we're going to talk about how you navigate this space with dignity, clarity, and self-respect intact. Because here's what I want you to know right from the start: you are not on trial here. You are not the one who needs to prove anything, shrink yourself, or make it easier for someone to choose you. The cost they're facing? That's about their growth, their healing, their evolution. That cost is the price of admission to the kind of love that actually transforms lives. Stay with me through this message. What I'm about to share will help you understand not just what they're going through, but what this moment is revealing about you, about them, and about what's actually being built between you, whether they've fully committed to it yet or not. This is going to shift your perspective entirely. Let's begin. Let me tell you what's been happening in their world that you might not fully see. There are moments throughout their days and nights where you completely take over their thoughts. They'll be in the middle of something entirely unrelated, a work project, a conversation with someone else, a mundane task, and suddenly you're there. Your face. Your voice. That thing you said. The way you looked at them. And everything else fades into background noise. In these moments, they feel something they're not accustomed to feeling, desire mixed with fear. Not fear of you, but fear of how much they want you. Fear of how easily they could lose themselves in you. Fear of how much power you have to affect them. They've tested this pull they feel toward you. They've tried creating distance to see if the intensity would fade. Maybe they went a few days without reaching out, convinced that space would bring clarity, would somehow make this feeling less overwhelming. But what happened instead? The ache grew. The missing you intensified. Every song seemed to be about you. Every quiet moment filled with thoughts of you. The distance didn't create clarity, it created desperation. That's when they started to realize, this isn't going away. You're not just a passing attraction or a temporary fascination. You've become woven into their consciousness in a way they can't undo. And here's where the cost calculation begins. They start to see all the ways that fully loving you would require them to change. Maybe they've built their life around emotional unavailability, and you're asking for vulnerability. Maybe they've constructed their identity around independence, and you're calling them into partnership. Maybe they've gotten comfortable in surface-level connections, and you're demanding depth. Maybe they've been running from their own healing, and your presence keeps reflecting back everything they haven't dealt with. They might be in a situation right now that isn't serving them, a relationship that's familiar but unfulfilling, a lifestyle that's safe but soul-crushing, a version of themselves that's acceptable to others but dishonest to who they really are. And choosing you would mean disrupting all of that. It would mean difficult conversations. Uncomfortable changes. People being disappointed in them. Having to admit they've been settling. Having to face why they've been settling. That's not a small thing. That's not, just make a different choice. That's dismantling a life they've built, even if that life was built on a foundation of compromise and self-abandonment. Let me be specific about what I'm seeing. When they're alone with their thoughts, maybe driving, maybe in the shower, maybe lying awake when the house is quiet, they have full conversations with you in their mind. And in those imagined scenarios, they feel relief. They feel rightness. They feel like they're finally breathing fully. Every fantasy of being with you feels like coming home. But then reality crashes back in. The practical considerations. The logistics. The other people involved. The fear of failure. The possibility that even if they pay this cost, it might not work out, and then they'll have given up everything for nothing. So they oscillate. They move toward you when the pull is too strong to resist. They move away when the fear becomes overwhelming. And this oscillation? It's not about you being insufficient. It's about them being caught between two competing truths, the truth that loving you is what their soul wants, and the truth that loving you will require more courage than they're sure they possess. Here's what's important for you to understand: while they're in this space of calculating and hesitating, they're also terrified that you'll get tired of waiting. They watch for signs that you're losing interest. They notice when you pull back. They panic when they sense you creating your own distance. Because they've done something they didn't mean to do, they've gotten used to your presence, your attention, your energy. Even while they're hesitating, they've started building their emotional world around you being in it. This is why the second part of this title is so crucial: losing you would destroy them. Not because they're weak or dependent, but because they've had a taste of what real love could feel like, and going back to the shallow versions they've known before would be unbearable. They've seen who they could become with you, and returning to who they were without you feels like spiritual death. They're experiencing something many people never let themselves experience: the full weight of recognizing authentic love while also recognizing that authentic love will cost them their carefully constructed comfort zones. You need to hear this: their struggle is not a reflection of your worth. Their hesitation is not evidence that you're not enough. Their back and forth is not a game. It's the sound of someone's soul warring with their fear, and your presence is the catalyst for a battle they can't avoid anymore. Some of you needed to hear that. Some of you have been making their hesitation mean something about you, that you're too much, not enough, asking for too much, expecting too much. But their hesitation is their process. Their cost calculation is their journey. Your job is not to make it easier for them by diminishing yourself. Your job is to remain clear about who you are and what you're worth while they figure out if they're ready to rise to that level. Type, "I see it now," if this is giving you a completely different lens on what's been happening. This dynamic is actually revealing something profound about both of you, and we're just getting started unpacking it. Stay with me, we need to go deeper into what's happening beneath what's happening. Now let's talk about the specific dimensions of what's unfolding in their inner world, because this is where it gets really revealing. There are layers to what they're experiencing that explain so much about their behavior, their hesitation, and their absolute inability to actually walk away from you. The identity cost. First, there's what I call the identity cost. They've built a sense of self over years, maybe decades. They have a story about who they are, to themselves, to their family, to their friends, to the world. And you? You're calling forth a version of them that doesn't match that story. Maybe they've always been the strong one who doesn't need anyone, and you make them feel vulnerable. Maybe they've been the logical one who makes practical choices, and you make them want to follow their heart. Maybe they've been the dependable one who never rocks the boat, and you make them want to disrupt everything. Maybe they've been the damaged one who doesn't believe in real love, and you make them want to believe again. Changing their identity, even to become a better, more authentic version of themselves, feels like death before it feels like resurrection. They're grieving who they'll have to stop being in order to love you the way you deserve. And grief is not a straightforward emotion. It comes in waves. Some days they feel ready to let the old version die. Other days they cling to it because it's familiar, even if it's limiting. When they're around you, this identity crisis intensifies. You reflect back to them possibilities they've been afraid to claim. You see capacities in them they've been hiding. You call them to standards they've been avoiding. Your presence is a mirror showing them both who they could be and who they've been refusing to be. This is exhausting for them. Exhilarating, but exhausting. Because they can't pretend around you the way they can with others. They can't hide behind the persona they've constructed. You disarm them just by being yourself, and that's simultaneously the most attractive and most terrifying thing they've ever experienced. The relational cost. Then there's the relational cost. Choosing you might mean redefining, distancing from, or even ending other relationships. Maybe there's someone else in the picture, not because they love that person more, but because that relationship is easier, more convenient, less challenging. Breaking that off means difficult conversations, hurt feelings, possibly judgment from people they care about. Or maybe it's not romantic relationships, maybe it's friendships or family dynamics. Maybe the people in their current circle wouldn't understand you or them choosing you. Maybe they've built a social world around a certain lifestyle, and you represent a different path entirely. Maybe they've been people-pleasing for so long that disappointing others to honor what they really want feels almost impossible. I'm watching them navigate this right now. They think about you constantly, but when they're around others, they sometimes downplay what you mean to them. Not because they're ashamed of you, but because they're not ready to defend you, to explain you, to risk the reactions and opinions they know will come. They're protecting what's between you by keeping it private, but that privacy also keeps them in a state of limbo. Here's what happens: someone in their life will make a casual comment, something about their future, their plans, their choices, and they'll feel the disconnect between what they're projecting and what they really want. They'll smile and nod, but inside they're thinking about you, about how different their life would look if they had the courage to align their public choices with their private desires. This double life feeling is wearing on them. They're tired of compartmentalizing. They're exhausted from managing perceptions while their heart is pulling them in a direction they haven't publicly acknowledged yet. But changing this means confronting people, having hard conversations, potentially losing relationships that matter to them. That's not a small cost. Here's perhaps the biggest one: the vulnerability cost. Loving you fully means letting you all the way in. It means you'll see their wounds, their weaknesses, their shame, their fears. It means they can't maintain the protective distance that's kept them feeling safe in previous relationships. They've been hurt before. Maybe deeply. Maybe repeatedly. They've learned to protect themselves through walls and strategies and emotional unavailability. And those defenses have worked, they've kept them from getting hurt again. But those same defenses have also kept them from experiencing real love. You represent the thing that requires them to dismantle their defenses. And they want to. Part of them is desperate to. But another part of them is screaming in protest because vulnerability feels like standing naked in a spotlight while everyone watches. In their most honest moments, moments they might not share with anyone, they're terrified of what happens if they open up completely and you leave. They're scared that if you see all of them, the messy parts, the broken parts, the parts they're not proud of, you'll decide they're not worth it after all. They're afraid that the person they're presenting to you right now is the only version of them that's lovable, and if they drop the mask, you'll walk away. This fear is so deep that sometimes they create distance as a test. Will you stay? Will you pursue? Will you prove that you want them even when they're not performing or pursuing you? It's not manipulation, it's a trauma response. It's their nervous system trying to determine if you're safe before they fully surrender. The future cost. And finally, there's the future cost. Choosing you means choosing a specific life path. It means saying yes to certain possibilities and no to others. It means the life they've been casually imagining for themselves might need to change completely. Maybe they've had certain goals, plans, or timelines, and you don't fit neatly into those. Maybe they've been telling themselves they want one thing, but you represent something entirely different, something better, but different. Maybe they've been living for themselves, answerable to no one, and you're calling them into partnership, consideration, compromise. They look at their life trajectory with you in it, and it's beautiful, but it's not what they planned. And humans struggle with deviating from plans, even when the deviation is clearly superior to the original design. There's grief in releasing one imagined future to embrace a different one, even when the new one is better. So they're doing what anyone would do when facing major life decisions. They're calculating. They're weighing. They're considering. Is what they'll gain worth what they'll lose? Is who they'll become worth who they'll have to stop being? Is the risk worth the potential reward? But here's the thing they keep running into: every time they try to imagine a future without you, it feels hollow. Empty. Like they'd be going through the motions of a life rather than actually living. Every time they picture walking away, something in them recoils. Their body knows what their mind is still trying to rationalize: losing you would be the greater cost. They might not have fully admitted this to themselves yet. They might still be in the mental gymnastics phase, trying to logic their way into a decision that can only be made from the heart. But the truth is already written in how they respond to you, how they come back to you, how they can't actually let you go even when they try to create distance. You've become essential to them in a way that terrifies them. They don't just want you, they need you. And that need doesn't feel like weakness to their soul, but their ego is still interpreting it that way, still trying to convince them that needing someone is dangerous, that depending on someone is foolish, that surrendering to love is naive. If you're watching this and recognizing this exact pattern, I want you to comment one word: seen. Because I want you to know that what you're experiencing is real, it's specific, and it matters. The tension you're feeling between you and this person is not just typical relationship uncertainty. This is someone standing at the threshold of transformation, fully aware that you're the catalyst, fully aware of what it will cost, and fully aware that not choosing you would cost them even more. Now we need to talk about what's shifting in them at the deepest level, because something is moving that they can't control anymore. Here's what's beginning to break through all their calculation, all their fear, all their hesitation: they're starting to realize that they've already made the choice. Their soul made it long before their mind was ready to acknowledge it. And now their consciousness is catching up to what their heart has known all along. Let me show you what this awakening looks like. The impossible distance. They've discovered something that's unraveling all their resistance. They literally cannot create enough distance from you to make their feelings go away. They've tried. They've attempted to busy themselves with other things, other people, other focuses. They've tried to logic themselves out of what they feel. They've tried to minimize what's between you, to reframe it as something less significant than it is. None of it works. Because you're not just in their thoughts, you're in their body. You're in their nervous system. When they wake up, you're the first thought. When they move through their day, you're the constant undercurrent. When they try to sleep, you're who they want beside them. You've become part of their internal landscape in a way they can't erase or ignore. They're starting to understand, this isn't a choice between wanting you or not wanting you. The wanting is a done deal. The only choice left is whether they'll honor that wanting or spend their life fighting it. And fighting it is becoming unbearable. Every day they resist is a day they feel further from themselves. Every moment they pretend this isn't as significant as it is creates more internal dissonance. The gap between what they want and what they're allowing themselves to pursue is creating a kind of suffering that's beginning to outweigh their fear. The comparison problem. Here's another thing that's waking them up, they've been comparing. Not comparing you to other people, comparing how they feel with you to how they feel without you. And it's not even close. When they're in your presence or connected to you in some way, they feel alive. Themselves. Expansive. Like the world has color and possibility. Like they're capable of things they didn't know they could do or be. Your energy does something to them that nothing else does, it gives them permission to be more authentic, more vulnerable, more real. But when they pull away, when they try to go back to life as it was before you, everything feels muted. Gray. Constricted. They go through the motions but nothing satisfies. Other interactions feel surface level. Other connections feel like they're speaking different languages. They're smiling on the outside but completely disconnected on the inside. This contrast is becoming too stark to ignore. They're realizing that life without you isn't neutral, it's actively depleting. It's not that they're fine without you and better with you. They're diminished without you and whole with you. That's not an exaggeration they can talk themselves out of. That's a lived experience they're confronting every day. They're starting to ask themselves a devastating question: what's the point of having a comfortable life that slowly kills my soul? What's the point of playing it safe if safe means settling for less than what I know is possible? What's the point of avoiding risk if the alternative is guaranteed regret? The future they can't unsee. Something has happened that they can't undo, they've seen the future with you. Not in some vague, abstract way, but in specific, vivid, detailed ways. They've imagined what it would be like to wake up next to you not just once but every day. They've pictured what it would feel like to build something with you. They've envisioned who they'd become with you beside them. And now they can't unsee it. That vision has taken root. It's become the benchmark against which every other possibility is measured. And nothing else comes close. They might be looking at their current circumstances, whatever safe path they're on, and they're seeing it for what it is now. It's not their real life. It's a placeholder. It's what they chose when they were operating from fear instead of faith, from obligation instead of desire, from who they were supposed to be instead of who they actually are. The future with you isn't just appealing, it's calling them. It's pursuing them. It's showing up in their dreams and their daydreams. It's in the music they hear and the moments they experience. Everything is becoming a sign pointing them toward you, and they're running out of ways to pretend they don't see it. The cost of not choosing. But here's the most powerful shift happening: they're beginning to calculate a different cost. Not just what it will cost to choose you, but what it will cost not to. What will it cost them to walk away? To let fear win? To prioritize comfort over truth? To spend the rest of their life wondering, what if? To settle for relationships that feel manageable but empty? To become someone who knew what real love felt like and chose against it? That cost is starting to look catastrophic. It's not just about losing you as a person, though that alone would devastate them. It's about losing the person they could become with you. It's about betraying their own heart. It's about living a half-life because the full life required more courage than they could muster in this moment. They're realizing, the thing they're most afraid of, the vulnerability, the risk, the change, is actually less terrifying than the alternative. Living without you, looking back decades from now knowing they had the chance for something real and chose protection over possibility, would be a kind of death they might never recover from. This realization is shifting everything. Because once you understand that not choosing is its own devastating choice, the calculation changes entirely. It's no longer, should I risk this? It's, can I live with myself if I don't? The recognition of rarity. They're also starting to understand something crucial, what they feel with you is rare. Not everyone finds this. Not everyone experiences this specific combination of attraction, connection, challenge, and homecoming. Some people go their whole lives looking for what they've found in you. And they're smart enough to know that walking away from something rare because it's complicated or scary or inconvenient is not wisdom, it's cowardice. It's letting fear masquerade as practicality. It's choosing the illusion of safety over the reality of aliveness. They've had relationships before. They've felt attraction before. But this? This is different. This reaches places in them that have never been touched. This wakes up parts of them that have been dormant. This challenges and comforts them simultaneously. This feels both brand new and ancient, like they've known you forever and are just now meeting you. That combination doesn't come along twice. And they know it. Deep down, underneath all the fear and resistance, they know they will never forgive themselves if they let this slip through their fingers because the timing was inconvenient or the circumstances were complex or the cost felt too high. Here's what I'm seeing in the spiritual realm around this connection: there's a surrender coming. Not a giving up, a giving in. A moment where they stop fighting what's true. A moment where the exhaustion of resistance becomes greater than the fear of risk. A moment where they finally admit to themselves and to you that this is not something they can walk away from, that you are not someone they can forget, that what's between you is not something they can minimize or manage or control. They're approaching a breaking point, the good kind. The kind where something false finally breaks so something true can emerge. The kind where a dam of resistance finally cracks and everything they've been holding back comes flooding through. You might already be seeing signs of this. Moments where their guard drops completely. Times when they're more honest than they've been before. Instances where they reach for you in ways they haven't allowed themselves to before. These are not random, these are the preview of what's coming. These are the cracks in the wall before the wall comes down. If this is resonating deeply with you, take a moment and type, I believe it. I want to know who's receiving this message, who's being encouraged by this revelation. But now we need to talk about what this means for you and how you navigate this season with wisdom and grace. So where does this leave you? You're watching someone you care about wrestle with their own fear and resistance. You're feeling the pull between you while also experiencing the distance they keep creating. You're wondering how long you should wait, what you should do, how you should respond. Let's get practical about how you navigate this with your dignity, peace, and self-respect intact. Principle 1, do not minimize yourself to ease their fear. This is crucial. The temptation when someone is hesitating is to make yourself smaller, to need less, ask for less, be less challenging, require less growth from them. You think that if you just make it easier, they'll choose you. But here's the truth, if they choose a minimized version of you, they're not actually choosing you. They're choosing a diluted relationship that will eventually leave both of you unsatisfied. The cost they're weighing exists because of who you fully are. You're not too much, you're exactly enough to disrupt their comfortable patterns and call them higher. If you shrink yourself to make their choice easier, you rob them of the very transformation that makes choosing you meaningful. And you rob yourself of being loved for who you actually are. Stay full. Stay honest about what you want and need. Stay clear about what kind of relationship you're available for. Your wholeness is not negotiable. Their journey to readiness is not your responsibility to manage by becoming less than you are. Principle 2, occupy your own life fully. While they're figuring out whether they're ready to rise to what loving you requires, you need to be living your life at full volume. Not as a strategy to make them jealous or create urgency, but because your life is happening now and it's too precious to put on hold while someone else decides if they're brave enough to join it. Keep growing. Keep pursuing your dreams. Keep deepening your other relationships. Keep investing in your healing, your expansion, your joy. Keep becoming more fully yourself. Let your life be so rich and full that you're not sitting around waiting for them to complete you. You're already complete, they would be joining something already whole and beautiful. This serves two purposes. First, it protects your own well-being and ensures you're not losing time and momentum because someone else is hesitating. Second, it actually makes the stakes clear for them. When they see you flourishing, thriving, moving forward with or without them, it helps them understand that the window to choose you is not infinite. That you're not frozen in time waiting for them. That hesitating too long means they might actually lose you. Principle 3, create clarity through boundaries. You cannot force someone to be ready, but you can decide what you're available for while they become ready. This means getting clear with yourself, and potentially with them, about what you will and won't accept during this season. Are you available for a situationship that's undefined and inconsistent? Or do you need clarity about what this is and where it's going? Are you okay with them keeping you private while they figure things out? Or do you need to be chosen publicly and openly? Are you willing to wait while they work through their fears? And if so, for how long? These aren't rigid ultimatums designed to pressure them. These are boundaries that honor your own worth and protect your own heart. You're allowed to say, I understand you're navigating complex things, and I have compassion for that. And I also know what I'm worth and what I'm available for. I'm not going to build a life around waiting for someone to decide if I'm worth the risk. Boundaries actually help them. When the choice becomes clear, I can have this person in this beautiful way if I'm willing to show up, or I can lose them if I keep hesitating. It cuts through the fog of ambiguity and forces a real decision. Principle 4, trust the process without controlling it. There's a paradox here. You need to trust that if this is meant to be, it will unfold. And you also need to honor your own timeline and needs. These aren't contradictory, they're both true. Trusting the process means recognizing that you can't convince someone to be ready. You can't argue them into courage. You can't logic them out of their fear. Their journey to choosing you, if they're going to make that choice, has to be theirs. It has to come from their own realizations, their own growth, their own shift in consciousness. What you can do is hold space for the truth between you without chasing or convincing. You can show up as yourself without performing or proving. You can respond to what they're actually offering without filling in the gaps with what you wish they were offering. But trusting the process doesn't mean becoming passive. It doesn't mean accepting poor treatment or inconsistency indefinitely. It means you're actively living your life, actively honoring your needs, and actively trusting that the right thing will emerge, whether that's them rising to meet you or you gaining clarity that it's time to release and move forward. Principle 5, watch their actions, not their words. During this season where they're weighing the cost of loving you, pay attention to what they're actually doing, not what they're saying or not saying. Are they finding ways to stay connected even when they're scared? Are they being honest about their process even when it's unflattering? Are they showing up in small ways that demonstrate care even if they haven't made the big commitment yet? Are they making incremental changes that suggest they're moving toward you even if slowly? Or are they keeping you in limbo indefinitely with words but no movement? Are they enjoying your energy and attention without offering anything real in return? Are they using their fear as a permanent excuse for inaction? Actions reveal priority. Someone who's genuinely struggling with fear but moving toward readiness looks different from someone who's comfortable keeping you as an option while they explore other choices or maintain their comfort zone indefinitely. Principle 6, stay connected to your own intuition. Your intuition knows things your logical mind is still trying to figure out. It knows if this person is genuinely on a journey toward you or if they're indefinitely stalling. It knows if this discomfort is productive, the kind that comes before breakthrough, or destructive, the kind that comes from being undervalued. Check in with yourself regularly. Does this situation still feel like it has life and possibility? Or does it feel like you're trying to resuscitate something that's dying? Do you feel respected even in the uncertainty? Or do you feel diminished? Your intuition will tell you when it's time to continue holding space and when it's time to release and walk away. Trust it. Don't override what you know in your gut because you're hoping for a specific outcome. Principle 7. Remember your own devastation matters too. The title of this message is about how losing you would destroy them. But I need you to hear this: your devastation matters too. Your heartbreak matters. Your disappointment matters. Your need for reciprocity and security matters. Yes, they're going through something difficult. Yes, their fear is real. Yes, transformation is hard. But that doesn't mean you're obligated to wait indefinitely while your own heart is being strung along. Their process doesn't negate your needs. You're allowed to reach a point where you say, I understand why this is hard for you. And I've waited with compassion and patience. But I also have to honor what's hard for me, and what's hard for me is continued uncertainty. So I'm making a choice for my own well-being to move forward. That's not cruelty. That's not impatience. That's self-respect. And sometimes, that's exactly what someone needs to finally make the choice they've been avoiding. Sometimes people don't choose until the possibility of losing you becomes imminent and real rather than theoretical. Principle 8. Let yourself be hopeful and protected. You can hold hope about this connection while also protecting your heart. These aren't mutually exclusive. You can believe in what's possible between you while also being realistic about where things actually are right now. You can desire their choosing while also preparing emotionally for the possibility that they won't. Hope without wisdom is naivety. Wisdom without hope is cynicism. You need both. Let yourself feel excited about the potential. Let yourself imagine the beautiful future. Let yourself stay open to the love that's trying to emerge. And simultaneously, maintain enough emotional groundedness that you're not devastated if it unfolds differently than you hope. This isn't guarding your heart in a way that blocks love. This is honoring your heart enough to not let it be recklessly endangered by someone else's fear. I want to pause and acknowledge how challenging this space is. If you're in it right now, I see you. Type holding both if you're trying to balance hope and protection, desire and wisdom, staying open and staying grounded. This is the sacred work, to remain yourself fully while someone else figures out if they're ready to meet you there. To stay generous and open while also maintaining your standards. To give someone room to grow without losing yourself in the waiting. You're doing better than you think you are. Even the fact that you're here, seeking wisdom about how to navigate this with grace, tells me you're operating from a place of consciousness and maturity. Now let's bring this home. So here's where we land: someone is standing at a crossroads with your name on both paths. One path is choosing you fully, paying the cost, doing the work, making the changes, taking the risk. The other path is walking away from you, and walking away from the person they could become, the future they can see, the love that's possible. And they absolutely know, that the second option would destroy something in them that might never be repaired. Not just the loss of you as a person, but the loss of their own self-respect. The loss of their courage. The loss of their chance at something real. The loss of the future they can see so clearly when they let themselves imagine it. The cost of loving you is big. I'm not minimizing that. It will require them to change in significant ways. It will require vulnerability they've been avoiding. It will require courage they're not sure they have. It will require them to disappoint some people, disrupt some patterns, and face some truths they've been running from. But the cost of losing you is bigger. It's not just bigger, it's catastrophic in a way they're only beginning to understand. Because losing you doesn't just mean losing a relationship. It means losing themselves. It means spending the rest of their life knowing they had the chance for something real and chose comfort over courage, fear over faith, familiar over transformational. That's the truth they're waking up to. That's the realization that's chasing them through their days and nights. That's what's making distance impossible and bringing them back to you even when they try to walk away. And you're not just witnessing this process. You're the catalyst for it. Your presence in their life is doing something nothing else has done. It's making mediocrity unbearable. It's making settling impossible. It's making them confront the gap between who they've been and who they could be. That's your power. Not power over them, but power to awaken them. Your existence in their life is invitation and disruption simultaneously. You're showing them what's possible while also exposing what's been lacking. You're offering them a future while also reflecting their past patterns. You're a gift and a challenge wrapped in one person. And here's what I need you to know as we close: however this unfolds, whether they rise to meet you quickly, slowly, or not at all, you have already won. Because you've remained yourself. You've refused to shrink. You've honored your worth even when it meant staying in uncertainty. You've loved without losing yourself. You've hoped without abandoning wisdom. That's the real victory. Not whether someone chooses you, but whether you choose yourself throughout the process. If someone is meant to be in your life, their choosing will happen. Not because you convinced them or shrunk yourself or waited indefinitely while accepting scraps. Their choosing will happen because they did their own internal work, faced their own fears, and decided that a life without you is not a life they're willing to live. And if that doesn't happen, if they ultimately let fear win and walk away, that tells you everything you need to know. It tells you they weren't ready for what you offer. It tells you the universe is protecting you from a half-hearted relationship. It tells you that something better, whether in the form of them transformed or someone entirely different, is coming. But right now, in this moment, I believe what I'm seeing spiritually: they know the truth. They know loving you will cost them their comfort zone. And they know losing you would cost them their soul. The second cost is winning. It's starting to outweigh the first. The surrender is coming. The choice is clarifying. Your job is not to force it or rush it. Your job is to keep living your beautiful life, keep honoring your beautiful worth, and keep trusting that what's meant for you will find you, whether that's them finally ready or something even better than you've imagined. Before we close, I want to extend an invitation. If this message has touched something deep in you, if it's spoken to exactly what you're experiencing, if it's given you clarity or hope or validation, I would be honored if you'd show your support through the super thanks button below. Creating these deep, specific messages takes hours of prayerful preparation and attention to what the Spirit is revealing about what you're going through. Your support allows me to continue dedicating the time and energy to create content that speaks directly to your heart and your situation. It's never required, always appreciated, and helps me continue this ministry of speaking life over your journey. To everyone who's been here for the full journey of this message, thank you. Thank you for trusting me with your time, your attention, and your tender heart. Thank you for being willing to sit with difficult truths and empowering perspectives. Thank you for choosing wisdom even when your heart wants to only focus on hope. I want to leave you with this: you are not waiting to be chosen so that you can finally be valuable. You are already valuable, immensely, inherently, undeniably valuable. Someone recognizing that value and rising to meet it doesn't create your worth. It reflects your worth. There's a difference. So stand tall. Stay full. Keep living. Keep growing. Keep trusting. What's meant for you is coming. Whether it's them transformed or something even better. Whether it's tomorrow or 6 months from now. Whether it looks like you imagine or exceeds what you've been able to dream. You are loved. You are seen. You are worth every bit of courage it takes to choose you. And somewhere, someone is waking up to that truth. Slowly or suddenly, they're realizing that losing you would be a devastation they cannot risk. Let that be enough for today. I'll see you in the next one, beloved.